Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is supply chain, hurricane, dollar fall, and earthquake. And I've got some new updated information concerning this big hurricane that hit California. Essentially, this is what Shane Warren's prophecy said, that we would see a hurricane hit America. And he said it would be north, south, east, and west, the whole of America. And I'm going to show you this was it. 2, dollars will become worthless as leaves, and what starts that is when they begin to sell oil in something other than dollars, which happened August 24th of 2022. And since then, there's been 2 transactions. We've been able to find major transactions in some other currency other than the dollar. Also, he would see riots. It would be like a civil war. People in the streets holding up signs say, we want our entitlements, meaning the government cut off the entitlements, cut off food stamps and welfare and Social Security and things like that. And then he saw a New Madrid fault, which is in the center of the country. Now, start with some of the articles that are going to prove some points. Major supply chain issues are starting to develop all over the country. You remember Dana Coverstone said this was coming. And you have to understand that these people in charge, I'm talking about the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. I'm talking about, like one owns all of the railroads pretty much. One owns all of the banking pretty much. And one controls the governments. They control the whole world, literally. And I don't think it's an accident. I think it's on purpose. I think it's part of their plan. Part of their plan because what they want to do is get people hurting so much that they will take the mark, will bend the knee, will worship the Antichrist, will allow him to be put on the throne in Jerusalem. That's where the Bible says it's going. So he says, have you noticed that it has become difficult to acquire parts and get things repaired? Yes, I have. How about you? It isn't just your imagination. And also, have you noticed that store shelves seem rather sparse? Yes, I have. You go in a store and there are lots of holes. Just about wherever you go shopping. I discovered that major supply chain issues are starting to develop all over the country. Okay, now, let's say you own all of the railroads. Could you stop some of the things arriving? Let's say that you own all of the oil companies. Could you stop some of the people from getting oil? Let's say you own the companies that make diapers. So could you see to it that there are not enough diapers made? And that's what they're doing. More than 4/5, or 82%, of bricks and mortar shoppers say that they've experienced items being out of stock this year. I just went, let me think, what was the item? I just went to a swimming pool store, needed some chlorine, and I don't really want to lift this up. Can you have this delivered? No, we can't. No. Okay, well, I'll just order it online because they can have it delivered. But I've seen it more than that. I've seen it where people just don't have it in the stores. In other words, supply chain disruptions are causing it now to be very serious and threatening customer loyalty. Well, it's not about customer loyalty. That's assuming that life is going to continue as it is, and it's not going to continue as it is. So in a survey of 1,000 people, they found that shoppers believe that product availability has become a problem since the pandemic. Well, I think it's been a problem since Dana Coverstone prophesied it was coming. 75% said product availability has worsened since the start of the cost of living crisis. Next headline. Trader who predicted the 2008 financial crisis is now betting $1.6 billion of his own money on the stock market to crash before the end of 2023. You know, we've been watching for this since 2011 when Shane Warren had that dream. But here's another guy. Now, which one do you think people will listen to more? A prophet of God or to a guy that wrote a book and was correct about the 2008 financial crisis? My guess, they're not going to listen to the prophets of God. An investor who is featured in the film The Big Short after he correctly bet on a housing market collapse in 2008 has now predicted that a Wall Street crash will take place by the end of this year, 2023, and is reported to have bet $1.6 billion of his own money on the event happening in 2023. The Securities Exchange Commission filings released on Monday show that he has taken out negative options on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, both of which are representative of the U.S. economy at large, using more than 90% of his portfolio to bet on the market downturn. In other words, he's willing to lose 90% of what he owns, his wealth, which apparently is about $2 billion, and he bought large stakes in other put options against both stock market indexes. Put options give him the right to sell an asset at a particular price, meaning a low price, so he could stand to make a lot of money or lose it all. Mr. Burry bought $866 million in put options against the S&P 500 and $739 million against NASDAQ. He's betting the stock market is going to fall. Well, the wealth of America is not all in the stock market, but it's kind of like an avalanche. An avalanche of a giant amount of snow and ice begins with the first little crack. And it starts at the top, but it doesn't stop there until it reaches the bottom of the mountain. So what he is betting on is that the avalanche is going to have a little bitty crack sometime in 2023. Now, I don't have any money, but if I did, I would probably tend to bet he's correct. Not because he says it, but because the prophets say it. Mr. Burry became famous when he bet against the housing market during the worldwide recession, and it seems that he does not always get it right, however. In January, he tweeted the word sell to his 1.4 million followers, but then in March, he wrote, quote, "I was wrong to say sell." So he's not 100% right. But he's still got a good point. Let me point this out. I've summarized this. I've looked this up. We have 11 specific prophecies that say the dollar is going to fall. And if you want advice on that, I'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Call them. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't hurt anything, don't have to do anything. Just get their advice. We have 14 prophecies saying that there's a food shortage coming, and that's not difficult to see. And for that, and for the next one, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com, where you can get long-term storage food for about $1,000 a person. When everybody else is charging about $9,000 a person, $1,000 a person, you can do that, okay? 17 prophecies say that a meteor is going to hit, causing a tsunami on the east coast and a great earthquake, and that earthquake is going to be going down the Mississippi River Valley or the New Madrid Fault. 32 prophecies say that suitcase nukes will go off, and for that, I'll send you to EMPShield.com, which I've got here on my desk, and it looks like this. All you do is peel off the back, peels it off, stick it to the underside of the hood of your car someplace, and then you put red to red, green to green, black to black, and hook it up. It took me about 10 minutes to have video show you how to do it. It's not hard to do. EMPShield.com, and if you use the promo code PROPHECY, you get a $50 discount, and it helps your Prophecy Club. Then I've got 7 that say that there's going to be a surprise Russian nuclear attack on America. I know it's not coming this year, but I also know it's getting very, very close. So let's go on now. Let me summarize, and you can pause and read all of these because this is the order of the prophecies. 2 of them say no gasoline, but I still got 33 prophecies saying suitcase nukes. All right. Is Brazil considering launching a new BRICS currency at the summit called R5. Now, this is new information. This is the opinion of the writer here. He said, as Brazil gets ready to lead BRICS in 2025, it's nearing the end of a significant study on a new currency. Though Brazil refutes that this study aims to challenge the U.S. dollar, the intention is to bolster trade among BRICS nations using their local currencies. We know it is challenging the dollar, that the dollar is going to be worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. He goes on to say this could reduce dependence on the U.S. dollar, which America has sometimes used as a tool for sanctions. He goes on to say the U.S. dollar's dominance has allowed it to impose sanctions, citing Russia as a prime example. A potential new currency, here it is, dubbed the R5 could emerge. Now, why do they call it the R5? I thought this is real good. This term arises from the starting letter of the BRICS currencies. The real, ruble, rupee, renminbi, and rand. I thought that was real interesting that all 5 of these currencies start with an R, and they're going to call the new currency R5. Makes sense, doesn't it? And I'll let you pause to read the rest of it. Now, the point is, all of this seems to be pointing to things are about to happen. Another one. Remnants of Hurricane Hilary may eventually soak Michigan, and here's how. Someone sent this to me, and by the way, thank you very much for your emails. This is it. This is what we've been looking for, because the question was, will the hurricane called Hilary be the hurricane that was prophesied by Shane Warren? And I'm also going to show you another one from John Paul Jackson, the hurricane that is the big hurricane that would hit the East Coast and then apparently cover all of America and be the hurricane. And then in that hurricane, from that, we would come worthless dollars and the other things I showed you. But let me point it out here. The path of Hurricane Hilary's remnant, rain is going to be amazing. The current upper flow shows part of the Michigan will end up with rain related to the former hurricane. Right now on this Monday morning, the rain from what was Hurricane Hilary is moving quickly northward. Hilary is officially no longer termed a tropical system, but it still had some tropical moisture content that came with it when it was a hurricane. Now, as you're looking at this, you can see the arrow point around as it goes around in a circle. I've got it where we're going to play it twice, where you can actually sit there and look at it. But what I want you to look at is the center. It almost looks like a thumbprint. It looks like it's centered right in the middle of America. That's the point. See, Shane Warren was told it would be from the north to the south, from the east to the west, all across America, the storm. So according to this picture, that's what this storm is. This is a national hurricane that fits the bill. Now, there's more. As you look at this, this is part of what you just looked at. And look here in the center. Does that look almost like a thumbprint right there in the middle of it? See, but that's proof that the middle of the storm is America. And that's proof that it stretches all across America. Now, there's even more. I'm going to play a video here in just a second of John Paul Jackson, and he specifically says that you're going to see a massive hurricane hit California just before a big earthquake. John Paul Jackson.
There is an earthquake that has been predicted to devastate California, meaning skyscrapers are going to fall. The shape of the United States will change after that earthquake, but that won't happen till after there's a storm. A major storm is going to come to California. It's either a hurricane of incredible force or it is a storm of incredible force. But a great hurricane or incredible force is going to come to California, and the earthquake that destroys it will not happen till after that takes place. So there's a way of saying, okay, I have time, but that doesn't mean there won't be an earthquake tomorrow of 7.5, or next week or 2 weeks from now of some magnitude. But I'm talking the one that changes the shape of California, where you don't want to live in California, anywhere in California when that happens, or perhaps even on most of the West Coast, where an inland ocean is is formed, and Baja becomes an island, and the mouth of the Inland Ocean forms between San Diego and Los Angeles. That isn't going to happen before that storm comes, and so that is a sign that God is giving to the people. Don't worry about that big one, because this sign will happen first. So there's a lot of things getting ready to happen. Did that answer your question, Michael?
So let's go back and review this. So Shane Warren in 2012 saw a vision. He saw that hurricane hits America. Dollars become worthless as leaves, and what starts it is when they start selling oil in some other currency other than dollars, and he saw people holding up signs saying, "We want our entitlements." Then he saw a New Madrid earthquake, or an earthquake up the center of the city, or the center of the nation, and he heard the audible voice of God say two things. One is silver is going to skyrocket far more than gold, and secondly, he also saw that they split my land, I will split theirs, meaning associated with this is America forcing Israel to split, specifically Jerusalem. Now, with that in mind, let me go to, and I've actually got several dreams and visions of a big earthquake hitting. But this comes to us from Michael Boldea, Dmitry Duduman's grandson, all the way back in 2006. He said, "I dreamt I was in a hotel room asleep when the bed began to shake violently. I knew what was happening right away, having lived in California in the 80s. I was keenly aware what an earthquake felt like. Suddenly, I was no longer in bed. But now I was high above San Francisco Bay, looking down on the Golden Gate Bridge. As I watched it, it began to shudder, break apart, and fall into the waters below. I continued to watch the devastation, seeing buildings collapse. That's a key. That's what John Paul Jackson just said. Buildings collapse, masses of people trying to find shelter. Then a voice spoke out of the heavens, a voice I had never heard before, a voice of great authority. I will shake this land from its foundations, such as the eyes of this generation has not seen. The world will stand in awe and tremble in fear, as even the very geography of this nation will be transformed." That's what you just heard John Paul Jackson say. "My wrath is ready to be poured out, for sin has overrun my temple." So is the hurricane that just, I started to say hit California, but really it's hit America. Is that the sign? Apparently so. And then at the same time, we see the dollar falling because they're starting to sell oil in another currency. It's all happening. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's all happening. He goes on to say, "In my dream, I began to weep due to the great power of the voice I was hearing. I woke up trembling, unable to breathe, and I could not go to sleep again. Shortly before sunrise, my phone rang. It was my brother Daniel. 'Are you awake?' he asked. 'Yes.' 'I had a dream last night of a big earthquake hitting America.' When I told him I'd had the same dream, he was silent for a moment, saying, 'I'm coming over to pray.' He had just arrived at my apartment when my phone rang again. It was a brother from 200 kilometers away who had been prophetically gifted and had spoken many words over me that had come to pass. When I answered, he said, 'I had a dream last night, and I felt I needed to call and tell you about it. I dreamt of a terrible earthquake in your country. I saw a big bridge that just collapsed. I saw destruction as I've never seen before. Does this mean anything to you?' He said, 'Yes.' So that means the same night, 3 different credible people had the same dream. The Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. When it's 2 things, it's established. When it's 3 things, God is saying, I guarantee you, this is coming. He said, 'Mike, I've had many dreams in my life, and the Lord willed it so. But none has scared me as the dream I had last night. Only God can protect someone through something like that. There is no other hope but to run to Him. No matter what may come, upon this land, we know that God abides with us. Key word there, God abides with us, His faithful, keeping them, guiding them, protecting them. Events will begin to unfold on this earth that will make even the mightiest of men tremble in fear. But knowing that we have a shelter from the storm," I want you to hear that, shelter from the storm, A sovereign God who watches over us fearlessly, we press on faithful in all that he asks of us. Now, I went back and I looked up my last sermons going all the way back into March. These were the titles of the sermons. This past Sunday it was, I am the peace in the midst of the storm. The next one is narrow, meaning you got to walk the narrow way, not the broad way, if you want God's protection. Also, worship him more. Worship more. And that's not, you can't worship driving down the road. Can't worship with other people being interrupting you. Worship is generally, as I said in this sermon, on your knees, all alone, telling God who he is and that you love him for it. America is Nineveh now, meaning that America could still be saved if she would do what the king of Nineveh did, where the king repented, laid in sackcloth and ashes, and had all people and animals fast. No food, no water for 3 days. If America would do that, God would still save it. But America won't do that. God is able, meaning God is able to protect us. He also says, I'm your high tower. I'm your protector. I'm your provider. Forgive. Forgive, meaning forgive those people that have trespassed against you. Come walk with me. Live with me. Walk with me. I hid the prophets, meaning I hid the prophets and I can hide you too. I can hide you from the troubles. I will be with thee. I will be thee in trouble, and Jesus gives us the victory. So those are my sermons, which, by the way, you can watch online. You go back and watch every one of those sermons. So if you need some encouragement, I would encourage you to go and watch those sermons. Shane Warren said it was literally war. I mean, it looked like civil war within our borders, but it was all over the issue of devaluing our money. Then I was caught up and I was sitting in a room with world leaders from China, Iran, Russia. Putin was there and had just got reelected. So we looked up, and by the way, I've been deluged with emails saying, hey, wait a minute, we'll look that up. Here it is. The next election in Russia is March 17th, 2024. Now, I can't say that I'm exactly setting a date there, but it could very well be, and it seems to be lining up with the timing, that on about or around in March of 2024, we're going to be seeing these riots in the street, worthless dollars. We're seeing it all lining up right now. It goes on to say, America would be buying oil and other currency that would drive the value of the American dollar down. So let me remind you, 11 prophecies, dollar will fall. 14, food shortage. 17 say a meteor or a tsunami or an earthquake is going to hit. Suitcase nukes, surprise Russian nuclear attack, and I'll give you the places to go to check it out, in my opinion. It took me about 20 minutes to make these two loaves in my kitchen at an ingredient cost of about $12 each. In a time of food shortage and emergency, I'm going to cut each one of these loaves into 14 slices. Eat a slice in the morning, in the afternoon, I'll be satisfied. You want long-term food storage? You want to cut your food costs? Here it is. Eat 2 whole wheat bread slices daily for about a year for about $800 each. JosephKitchen.com's wheat berries come in a nitrogen-infused 7-gallon pail for long-term storage. Most other emergency food costs about $10,000 per person per year. That's right, about $10,000 per person per year, but at Joseph Kitchen, you could do it for about $1,000 per person per year. Now, to get started at josephkitchen.com, you're going to need a machines package. That's going to give you the grinder, the bread machine, the knife slicer, all you need to make bread, and then you decide how much food you want to get. You want food 6 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year, or just one person for a year, all at josephkitchen.com. About $1,000 per person per year at josephskitchen.com. Use the promo code Prophecy Club. Get you a $50 discount. josephskitchen.com, promo code Prophecy Club for a $50 discount on your first order. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is where I'll send you if you're thinking about getting gold or silver. I think everybody should have at least a fistful of gold and a fistful of silver because there could be a time when you pull up to get gasoline and they might not want to take your loaf of bread, but you pull out a gold coin or a silver coin, and you're probably able to get anything you want, even if the credit cards are down, even if the dollars are worthless. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word prophecy, you get a $50 discount. What is that? Well, it looks like this. This is the one that goes into a car, okay? And you put the red wire to the red side of the battery, you put the black wire to the black side of the battery, and the green one attaches to the body of the car. Then you peel it off right back here. Just peel that off, stick it inside of the engine compartment of your car. And the whole point is when the electricity goes off or when some kind of a suitcase nuclear device goes off, this is supposed to be able to stop that device from destroying every computer chip in your car. Because if every computer chip is destroyed in your car these days, you couldn't possibly replace them all. Throw the car away. So, EMPShield.com, promo code prophecy. I'll send you to solarsurge.net. Now, this guy, he's a good guy. He's been following Prophecy Club for, 10 years. And one day, probably 6 months ago, he called me. We got to talking, and I said, I've been thinking about getting this solar panel thing, but I don't know much about it. Tell me. Well, after he explained it to me, and I sent him my electrical bill for the last year, he calculated it all up, and he said, well, we got a plan C that is a low, the minimum you want. Got a plan B. We got a plan A. But at 3.9 or 4.9% interest over 25 years didn't cost you much. Okay. And all of that, but the government gives you all kinds of tax deductions, money back. He's the expert. Joe Ordia is his name. SolarSurge.net. SolarSurge.net. Just say Prophecy Club or put in the promo code prophecy. You'll love the guy. Prophecy student. Yeah, as you talk to him, you'll say, oh yeah, he's one of us. He's a good guy. He's one of us. Give him a call. Secret door to understand Bible prophecy. It will help you to understand. It's not complicated, but it is deep, because to understand Bible prophecy, well, let's put it this way. I wish I had had the book 30 years ago. It would have helped me understand Bible prophecy. It would have put so many misunderstandings that I have had through the years in place. Matter of fact, when I started getting these 30 revelations, because I memorized the book of Revelation, I learned a lot. I learned a lot I did not know. I think I went to school with Jesus, and I don't think I'm something special. Matter of fact, I don't even think it came because I memorized the book of Revelation. I think you're something special. I think he gave the book to his end-time saints, his end-time watchmen, so that you can explain to people, so you can be a part of the great move of God, the great harvest, the thousands upon thousands of souls that are about to come to Jesus. And if you want to share in that harvest, you need to be able to explain Bible prophecy, and the Holy Spirit is not going to put up with you teaching a bunch of errors. You got to know what you got to know. And that is, you got to kick out that idea thinking that there's going to be a pre-trib rapture. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's other things, you got to learn. And this is the reason I think he gave the book. Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, prophecyclub.com. prophecyclub.com.